A little bit about myself. My name is Samir Azizi, and I have a bachelor's degree in economics and accounting from UC Santa Barbara, University of California, and an MBA from California State University, Channel Islands. I worked as an accountant for 6 years when I was in the United States, but when I came to Canada, thank you. When I came to Canada, I decided to switch to more like forward client-facing professions. So I decided to be like a marketing professional. And so eventually I started working for this cryptocurrency exchange Coinsmart, which is a publicly traded company in Toronto and was acquired by WonderFi in 2022. WonderFi, by the way, just got acquired by Robinhood. It's an American stock trading company. Anyways, after that I went to work for Bitget exchange, which is one of the largest exchanges in the world. And I was a country marketing manager for Bitget. So that was kind of a fun experience, and we did a lot of things, a lot of activations. My specialty is customer acquisition and affiliate marketing. So that's all kind of like a professional crypto experience. I've been in crypto since 2017 when the first kind of like bull run that got into the mainstream started, and that's where I like, okay, like I'll buy $500 worth of Bitcoin through Coinbase. And so I did that, and I basically saw my money going from 500 to 1,000. And I was like, this is crazy. This is like in the span of like 5 days. So I immediately sold everything. I was like, I need to see if it's real. I sold everything, transferred it to the bank. And the first thing I did is I bought myself a PlayStation 4. That was like my first crypto earnings. I was like, okay, this is real. By the way, this presentation is not a financial advice, so don't take my word for anything. So I don't want you to get out there and say like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Do your own research. I'm super happy. I originally was disappointed that crypto, like Bitcoin, has collapsed 30% in the past couple of weeks. But after thinking about it, I'm actually happy that we're having this chat with cool heads. When Bitcoin is down right now, it's at 97,000, 95,000, used to be 87,000. But at its height, it was 120 something, 25,000 or something like that. So it's down, so we can all relax, and I can basically have a cool head about it. So there's no hype. Okay, so let's start our presentation. We're going to talk about crypto. I'm going to start talking about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about why it exists, what does it do, and why does it matter. Next slide, please. All right. So to start this story, we're going to start with 2008 financial crisis. This is a screenshot from a very famous movie. Anyone knows what the movie is? Big Short. Big Short, exactly. It's a great movie. It's a fun movie. You guys all should check it out if you haven't. But it explains how the financial market occurred in 2008. I'm sometimes getting distracted because my videographer tells me to stand in the center, but I want to make sure that you see the slides. So basically, in 2008, banks failed. They did a lot of risky investments. They basically gave a lot of mortgages to people who did not deserve it. So as a result, that was kind of a risk that didn't pay off, and the whole system collapsed. And it all triggered like a tripling effect where the businesses went down, the people lost their jobs, their houses, their livelihoods. Everyone lost, basically. It trickled down through the world, out of the United States to everywhere. And at the end of the day, everyone kind of like got the whole crash thing, right? Everyone had a bad day, but the banks got bailed out. They were too big to fail. So the government basically bailed them out with taxpayers' money. Well, the taxpayers, they didn't get bailed out. They just, just were on their own, like figure your own thing out, right? So as a result, there was a lot of trust lost. So the trust between the banks and the people, the trust between the banks and the government. And so, the most importantly, the trust in the centralized system, also centralized financial system was lost because it exposed its weaknesses. Next slide, please. Now comes Satoshi Nakamoto. That's, by the way, his real statue in Europe. Someone built, kind of like a representation how he looks, because the guy is anonymous. No one knows who he is. We don't know his or her identity. But in 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto issued this white paper. White paper is basically a document that outlines certain aspects of his vision and some background behind his vision. And the white paper called Bitcoin White Paper. So in that white paper, he presented his vision on how money should work. And it reflected his disappointment in 2008 financial crisis and the aftermath of it. There's more lore behind it, but I hope you guys will research more after this presentation. So he envisioned the system where money can work without banks, and money can basically function in a peer-to-peer basis. So you don't have to send money using the bank as an intermediary anywhere in the world. You can send it directly to your contacts and friends and businesses. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin. You guys saw that clip. It was a pretty cool clip. So we have the cool thing about Bitcoin is that there's only 21 million of these magical digital coins. It's funny they call them coins, but it's really just code. It's a digital money. It's the digital lines of code on the ledger. But we call them Bitcoin. It's a great representation, right? There's no golden thing. There's no actual physical golden little coin. It doesn't exist. It's all in the cloud. It's all on the blockchain. But the cool thing is that, accounting-wise, there's only 21 million of those, and it's divisible too. You can like have fractions and fractions and fractions of it. So there's a limited supply, and there is a scarcity. So that's why they call it digital gold, because it's the same kind of thing with real gold. Like the gold is so valuable because you cannot just find it in the ground, right? So like it's very rare. That's why it's so expensive and valuable. But that's one thesis about Bitcoin. Another thing is that Bitcoin actually is not governed by anyone. It's decentralized. There's no central bank that is like, you know what? You don't get Bitcoin. We take that away from you. This country doesn't get Bitcoin. No such thing. It's completely decentralized. Thousands of computers around the world validating the nodes, validating the transactions. And that's what makes it very secure and very transparent. All right, next slide, please. Now let's talk about how Bitcoin works. So when you send Bitcoin to someone, basically what happens is on the ledger, the transaction, it basically creates a script on the public blockchain. Or you can call it creates block. And those blocks, lines of code, let's say, got added to that public blockchain. So the whole transaction is reflected online in real time, and millions of people around the world are validating this transaction, saying this is a real transaction, and it's only going to be one transaction, and you cannot duplicate that transaction ever. And why are they all validating that transaction? Because on the back end, they're also mining the Bitcoin and doing all these computes, and they're getting incentivized by getting more Bitcoin as a reward. So it's very hard to hack, and it's extremely secure because of that. It's very technical, to be honest with you. Like you have to really dive in to see how the mining works and how it actually mathematically correct, the proof of work, how you do the whole computations. But that's something for you to kind of discover on your own. I'm trying to give like a bird's eye view, if you will. Now the network, verifies it. The block's added, but the most important part, and you don't have to be technical for it, the most important part here is that when you send the Bitcoin to someone, the banks are not in the picture. You don't need to have banks. No offense to Lurie, I know he works for CIBC, so he's going to be debating with me. But no banks, no third party, no one authorizes this. It's completely peer-to-peer, and that's the magic of Bitcoin. And also crypto in general, but Bitcoin is the original. Okay, next slide, please. Now, the power of self-custody. Now, self-custody is a funny thing. It's a very cool thing. It's a very magical thing, liberating thing, but it's also kind of a scary thing because you are accountable for all of your money yourself. And it sounds cool, but sometimes it can be a little bit too much. So when you have Bitcoin, you basically have to store it on a self-custody wallet. There's other things other ways to kind of have it, centralized exchange where you download Coinbase and they give you this kind of promise like, oh yeah, we have your crypto. It's just stored in our vault, but you can have it if you want, kind of like banks. But the original wallets are self-custody wallets. And how you when you create a self-custody wallet, you basically are given a string of words. It's basically your seed phrase is how they call it. It's code. So it's like several words in the line. And that's basically, if you know all these words, you write this down, this is your keys to your wallet. And that's why they say, if it's not your keys, it's not your coins. Because this string of words, this kind of phrase or password, allows you to keep your coins, no matter if it's a $1 in Bitcoin or $100 billion in Bitcoin. It all can be stored in the same wallet if you know that exact phrase. That's why it's so exciting and also a little bit intimidating. So the wallet itself, it's kind of like your personal vault. So you can keep it on a piece of paper, you can memorize it in your head. But the coolest part, something that extremely revolutionary here, why everyone suddenly believed in that. And it's not because gold or not gold, none of that. It's because no one can take it from you. No one can freeze your bank accounts because there's no bank account. It's all in your wallet. No one can debank you. No one can basically penalize you, apply fees on you. You are in complete control of your own wallet and of your own money. Okay, next slide. Now let's talk about this gold comparison because I think it's a good comparison to have like a better understanding of how our psyche works and how maybe scarcity works. So 21 million Bitcoins, we already talked about it. It's limited supply. No one can ever print more. No one can ever create more Bitcoin. That's just like not in the mathematical equation of Bitcoin, which the whole thing is in the background of Bitcoin. It's math. It's algorithm. So that's kind of like, that's their comparison with gold. It's like, okay, same with gold. You know, you can kind of measure the entire gold supply of the entire world, and you can say, because the God is not making any more of it, just like with land, you should buy it. So there is kind of a similar application here. Of course, the most important thing about Bitcoin, well, not the most important part about Bitcoin, but about this comparison is that it's mobile. You know, if you have $100 million in gold, it's very hard to move. You have to hire trucks, insurance, security, and you have to move it, and most likely it's gonna get stolen or confiscated or something. It's like a huge operation to move one thing to another, right? But with Bitcoin, self-custody wallet, all you have to do is a seed phrase. And you can send it to anyone if you want to. You can even have it in some sort of a flash drive and just go to the airport like this, and nothing's gonna happen. No one's gonna ask you about anything. That's kind of like the advantage with the debate, Bitcoin versus gold. That's kind of like the thing that is most convenient. So it's a conveniency part, right? Next slide. All right, this is kind of like my favorite thing about it is the fact that where the scarcity and limitation really matters. It's not the gold versus Bitcoin or whatever. It's about this limitation where you're comparing Bitcoin to actual United States dollars. And I'm saying United States dollars just because, we're all kind of a part of that empire. So we're just going to use United States dollars. So ever since we got off the gold standards, I don't know, 69, 70, 1970 or something like that, United States started printing dollars and printing and printing and printing. What does it mean? It means that it's kind of influxing more cash into the system, and with more dollars circulating in the market, all of a sudden the purchasing power of your dollar is much less. You can buy less things with your dollar. As a result, we have more expensive stuff. Inflation happens. That's because we're increasing supply of the United States dollars, especially after COVID. We've been printing so much cash in Canada, in the United States, worldwide. That was the whole thing, like world does it. Here, you get free cash, you get free cash. But it's not actually free cash. By printing more cash, they're actually devaluing what you have in the bank account because you have purchasing power, and it's getting less and less because there's so much more this United States dollars that you have in your bank account. Again, that's where 21 million of Bitcoin matters, because no one has the authority. There is no central bank authority that can say, we want 40 million Bitcoins or something like that. It's here, it's said, and it's forever is going to be that way. That's in the equation. All right, next slide. All right, here's my personal opinion. Here's the real value of Bitcoin. It's not the equation, it's not the algorithm, it's not the blockchain or anything like that. It's all very good stuff, revolutionary stuff. But the most important thing is the network effect. The value of Bitcoin is in the people who are using it. When you see Bitcoin going up, it means more people are buying it. More people buy the Bitcoin, it gets more in the price. It's the basic supply and demand graph, like Econ 101. So as a result, more users equal to more value, and Bitcoin is the original. It's number one, it's the strongest, and it's most secure and safe. But the network effect, it's like with social media. Like Facebook is so powerful not because of its tech, it's because of the people who are using it. It's the same exact thing with Bitcoin, and more people every day will be buying Bitcoin and extending that network. I'm sure after this presentation, at least one of you will purchase some. Again, not a financial advice. All right, next slide. Now, okay, this presentation is about crypto. It's not just Bitcoin. Let's talk about the second one, Ethereum. Ethereum actually started here in Toronto by the guys who we are familiar with, and I have friends who were developing along with them. The difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum is that Ethereum blockchain is a programmable blockchain. You can use the same blockchain technology to build apps, decentralized financial tools. You can actually create art and put art on that network. So you can do a lot of stuff with it. So just think about it as like Bitcoin, but you can actually do cool stuff like code with that and create apps with that. Because Bitcoin is also only good for storing value and doing the transactions. Ethereum, you can do blockchain apps on that. You can do decentralized financial apps, yield, staking, all of that stuff is where you basically keep the Ethereum in one place and you get accumulated some bonus points and stuff like that. That's basically what staking is. So that's, it's more flexible than Bitcoin in that way. So it's the second most popular crypto in the world right now, okay? But there's also others, especially after 2017, when everything was like, oh my God, crypto is the next big thing. More and more people started creating their own blockchains, and they gave them names, and they created more descriptions and how they can be better than other blockchains. So there's like a quick example. Here's one, like 3 big ones: Solana, Sui, and Avalanche. Solana is fast, it has low transactions. Sui has high scalability, so you can basically improve on everything, which is similar to Bitcoin, but like in a different sense. And you can build more apps on that, and so on and so forth. Next slide. Now, stablecoins. It's actually, in my opinion, one of the most revolutionary part in blockchain after Bitcoin, simply because people are using it. I'm using it as well. What is a stablecoin? Stablecoin is crypto that is pegged to the United States dollar on a one-to-one basis, which means this crypto is backed by the real dollars, ideally. There were some actors that basically pretended that they are, but it didn't, so there was a depegging that was happening, but that was in the past, which is, again, more reason for you all to do more research after this presentation. But the most important, the most famous stablecoins are right now USDT and USDC. It's kind of the same thing, it's just USDT is in one network and USDC is in another network. But the cool thing about that is that there's no fluctuation, there's no volatility. If I send you crypto, I know exactly that I'm going to send you $100 in crypto and you're going to receive $100 in crypto. It's not gonna fall in price while we're trying to trade, and all of a sudden I get more or less. That's kind of like the predictability is its power. But also think about it. When you send $100,000 to your vendor, to your business or whatever, to your customer or to your contractor, what happens? Well, you usually do the wire transfer. You get all the information from your customer. Okay, can I have your checking account, your SWIFT account, the country, the address of your bank, the address of your everything. Okay, you got this version. You go to the bank, you fill out the application, blah, 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 like put it all in the little table and all of that. On top of that, you pay the fee for the transfer. Then you pay additional fees. Supposedly, like sometimes it's going to be like a percentage of the whole one. It's very expensive is my point. And then after that, you have to wait for 3 to 5 days to get that money delivered if you're lucky, but sometimes it can get 2 weeks or even more. Maybe something happens in between and you have to wait for a long time. It takes a long, long thing with the whole wire process. Anyways, if I want to send $100,000 in stablecoins, all I need to do is your wallet, all I need to have is your wallet address. I got your wallet address, I send $100,000, got delivered in like just 5 seconds, right? And it cost me like $1. And I was like, because my client started paying me in stablecoins. And when I first realized that how easy it is and how easy it is to transfer back and forth, that's when it clicked with me that, wow, this is the future. And now you go into the news, United States are adopting stablecoin policies. Donald Trump issued his own stablecoin called World Liberty Financial. We have just passed in Canada the legislation for the budget to have the rails for the stablecoin in Canada. Canadian companies try to do Canadian stablecoins. Like everyone's realizing that this is the future. The Visa, MasterCard, they're trying to adopt it. Everything that Bitcoin and crypto is trying to fight against are basically collapsing because they're realizing, okay, this is the real system. Anyways, that's basically the USDT and USDC stablecoins. Next slide, please. All right, I got too excited. I'm sure you're all very excited from what I just told you. So let me tell you about the risks. There's a lot of risks, by the way. First of all, high price volatility. You know, a lot of newbies, they start buying some, we call them shit coins. You buy them and you think it's going to skyrocket like everything else, but in reality, it basically, a lot of insiders buy the same thing and then they just, what we say, rug pull you. So you are left with your coins and everyone else is just cashed out. So basically, a lot of volatility is very dangerous for unexperienced people, and I would advise against trading. I'm not a trader, to be honest with you. I'm not doing that stuff. Hacks and scams and phishing, very, very common. Someone sends you some sort of a malicious link. You click on the link has a script. The script goes into your browser extension, MetaMask wallet, and it drains your entire wallet with all your crypto, right? Very easy to do. Another thing you have to be like aware if you're in the crypto industry. Custody risks. You remember I said self-custody is such a cool thing? Okay, but now you have to protect it. Now you have to figure out what to do with it. What if you're going to forget the seed phrase? What if you're going to lose it? I mean, and you have like $1 million on it, right? So you have to be very careful about it. Transactions. Let's say you send your crypto to the wrong address. There is no central agency you're going to call and say, hey, can I claw back that money? I made a mistake. No, it's over. You send it, and it's with the users, with someone else. No one's going to come in and help you. Because what? Because you have a self-custody. So that's why you have a lot of responsibility to make sure you verify everything. You verify the address, the transactions, and your seed phrase. And of course, regulations. Until recently, regulations were very strict on crypto, on Bitcoin, and everything else. And it still is, especially here in Canada. So, before going all in on crypto, always make sure that you understand that at any given moment, the laws can get passed that basically will ruin you and your savings by outlawing your crypto. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there's always that fear, depending on which country you're at. All right, next slide. All right, so this is my last slide. Let's just summarize. Bitcoin, as we discussed before, yes, digital gold. Ethereum, programmable money, stablecoins, digital dollars. Crypto exists because traditional finance broke. All right, that's it. Thank you so much.